Hi people, in this video we're going to look at a few parasummary questions. It won't take a lot of time before I show you the questions, but my humble request to you is to treat parasummary questions the same way you treat RC passages. Okay, so there are a couple of important skills that you will need for parasummary questions, but if you build those skills, it will help you for RC passages as well. That you'll be able to read a paragraph and be able to understand what are the various ideas in the paragraph and differentiation between close options. And how do you differentiate between close options? You almost subtract one option from the other and try to see what is the extra idea that one option has that the other doesn't have. That's how you compare and you look at it. Before that, you can pause the video and solve the questions yourself. This is question 1, this is question 2, and this is question 3. Since I've chosen slightly tricky paragraphs, slightly heavy and dense, and made the options a little longer than usual because the ideas themselves are so complicated. You could probably take 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. Please do not take more than 2.5 minutes per question. The timer pressure is always important. Okay. Anyways, so we will start with the discussion. Given philosophers' unhealthy obsession with rationality, filmmakers can teach them what it means to be human. Again, colon means elaboration on the right side. What it means to be human, about our messy ways, about how shifty, complex, and ultimately irrational we can be. So if you notice, in the larger scheme of things, this part is just elaboration. And in parasummary questions, we are looking at the main idea. You're only trying to remember the main idea. Because a good summary doesn't give you details, doesn't give you unnecessary facts or figures or numbers or stats, doesn't give you the rhetoric, doesn't give you the drama, doesn't give you the examples. It just gives you the main idea. Sometimes complicated paragraphs have one main idea and one contrast idea. So you need to search only for those. Okay, so given philosophers' unhealthy obsession with rationality, see, this is again an extra condition setter. We know that philosophers are obsessed with rationality, but this is your main idea. Filmmakers can teach them what it means to be human. Okay, this is your main idea. That part you'll have to be able to remember. Okay, and what it means to be human, the description is given. We don't need to worry about it. It's for the reader's understanding. We are driven by emotions and passions as much as we are by reason. We employ mythical imagination just as much as argumentative thinking. Is again an elaboration sentence that simply talks or elaborates upon the previous sentence. So we don't need this in our summary. Okay, we don't need to. You can just simply cut this part out. A good summary will not have this part because simply understood in the term being human. Okay, according to paragraph itself, you don't need to make any assumptions. Okay, and next idea. And perhaps philosophy should, for its own good, be more generous with its definitions and humbler in relation to other fields. What does that mean? From film, for example, it can learn many a useful thing. Again, what are the useful things? Between the double dash, that's extra idea, extra details, not idea necessarily. But what is the main idea? It can learn many a useful things that don't abound in philosophical texts. So this, we learn only what is not there in philosophy already, right? That's why he's asking the philosophers to learn. So this is again useless information. This is just details. So the second idea is just here. From film, for example, to learn many a useful thing. Again, this useful thing is all about human beings, but this part, more generous with its definitions and humbler in relation to other fields. So two things philosophers can learn. Now look at the options. Option A, philosophy can learn from film how to balance rationality with human warmth. Now, two things you should be able to spot if you are trying to judge this option. This option is not, something that you eliminate straight away. It's a decent option, but a couple of things should stand out. Number one, did the author really use the term balancing? Okay, balance rationality with human warmth means the author would have told us rationality is as important as human warmth and vice versa, but that's not been said. What did the author talk about rationality? They are unhealthily obsessed, so filmmakers can teach them to be human. So it could be 80-20 as well. Okay, it could be 90-10. We don't know what the author's agenda is as far as the right mix. So balance is taking it a tad bit too far. That should attract your attention. Second thing is this word here, warmth. Okay, being human is not just about warmth. How do I know that? Because human warmth is just one of the many in the list. Human warmth, social urgency, way of speaking directly to the human heart, driven by emotions, passions. So human warmth is just one of the many characteristics or aspects which are given about human beings. So this human warmth is the clincher. You know that probably this is not a good summary. Okay. Option B, filmmakers can teach philosophers to be more open-minded about other fields. We have it here, right? For its own good to be more generous. Now, you could ask, hey, where is open-minded given? So you will eliminate the option. Don't be quick to eliminate options just because you do not see the same words. Obviously, they won't be same words, right? They would not just repeat what's there in the paragraph. It makes it really easy. Always look for similar words. So if it's saying generous with its definitions, that's being open-minded. You have to always take those words and compare. You do this in the RC passages as well. Okay, you see unfamiliar words and you tend to eliminate them way too easily. You dismiss the options. It's just synonyms of important ideas. So filmmakers can teach philosophers to be open-minded about other fields is true, but that's just one part, isn't it? We only have this part. What about the first part? This part is not, this is first idea, right? This was the second idea. So second idea is there, first idea is not there. Third option, philosophy should replace its obsession with rationality with a more generous approach based on emotions and human warmth. Okay, more generous approach based on emotions and human warmth is okay. I mean, I could have made it a little trickier by, you know, replacing human warmth with humanness. It would have become a little trickier. Warmth actually is giving it away that, you know, this is not an accurate summary. But even otherwise, the problem word is this. Really good readers will be able to eliminate this option using this word, okay? Replacement is not something that the author has asked you. Same reason why balancing. So replace is one extreme, balancing is the other extreme. So neither is this right, nor is this right. All the author is saying is, here, you're obsessed about this too much, you learn a little bit about this as well. That's neither replacing nor balancing, okay? Philosophy's rigid adherence to reason, reason being a synonym of the word rationality, okay, intelligence, could be softened through film's human touch. Okay, now you see human touch and you think, oh, it's unfamiliar territory, but it's not, isn't it? Now, the other interesting bit about this particular option is could be softened through film's human touch is included here also. For example, it can learn many useful things which are not there. Therefore, it partially covers the idea. Okay, is this is better than this because replace is not correct? This is better than this because balancing rationality with human warmth is not accurate. So see, if you want to pick A, you might as well pick D. That's how you compare the options. Between A and D, what's the difference? Both have the same idea, right? Philosophy can learn from film how to add human warmth to rationality. But where A says balance, D says soften, which is a more accurate word. Where A says human warmth, this says human touch. So D over A any day. D over C any day, because again, replace its obsession with rationality with a more generous approach. So replace is absolutely wrong. So even though C looks like it has a bit of both the ideas, you can't pick C because it's factually incorrect. Okay, the big question that you have to ask is, will it be B or will it be D? Now B has one idea, and many would argue, and you wouldn't be too wrong if you argue that D also has only the first idea. D doesn't talk about the, you know, generosity of sorts. But what does this say? Rigid adherence to reason could be softened. The moment you say softened, that's the beauty of the word softened here, through film's human touch. So softened means partially this part as well, generosity. Okay, is it exactly the same? No, but we are looking for the essence of the paragraph, right? So between B and D, which one represents the essence better? If I know D, I pretty much know whatever is there in the paragraph. If I know B, I don't, because it's missing out on the main idea, right? B is missing out on the main idea that, you know, filmmakers can teach philosophers to mix their rationality a little bit with the human touch. That's not there in B. Therefore, I would go with option D as the answer. Okay. Let's look at the next question. Have you ever heard of the concept? This is a concept or a subject that's very close to my heart. It's not just for this question. Please remember this part, read up a little bit about it. Okay. We humans, as we progress, as we evolve, we try to be better human beings, isn't it? And being better humans starts with a little thinking and a little rational thinking, a little equality in everything. Okay. Anyways, enough. I won't give more gyan than that, but let's look at the paragraph. Have you ever heard of the concept benevolent sexism? If you haven't, this is a term describing a chivalrous attitude. Now, chivalry is a positive expression generally. Okay. Being what do you call it? A little more generous in your attitude, helping out other people is chivalry. Going out of your way, putting other people ahead of you, chivalry. And again, chivalry is not just what is shown to men showing it to women in general. The word chivalry is not associated with gender per se, but it's gotten associated with genders a lot, and that's what we're actually talking about here. If you haven't, this is a term describing a chivalrous attitude that appears favorable towards women but actually reinforces traditional gender roles and perpetuates gender stereotypes. Small example would be giving away your seat to other people in when you're traveling in public transportation. The question that some people ask is that, okay, when you are trying to help out somebody of the other gender, whichever gender you are from, are you really doing it? Would you do it irrespective of the gender, or would you just perpetuate as gender stereotype? That's the question being asked in this paragraph. Okay, I leave you to form your own judgments and use your own logic to think about all these things, but I want you to think about these things. Okay, anyways, so when a professor says women are fragile and delicate creatures, or when a neighbor zests, I let my wife deal with paint colors, women are good at that kind of stuff, you can sense the discomfort. Why? Such comments reflect benevolent sexism. Why? Because they sound like compliments, but it's a very important word, isn't it? But they carry presumptions. Remember, presumption is a negative word. Presumption, pre-assumption. Okay, having some prefix thought in your head already. You already carry a thought in your head, and that kind of influences the way you judge whatever happens. Okay, so but carry presumptions of women as either the fragile damsel in need of protection or the default caretaker laden with household labor. So this part entirely is from here. Okay, it's all examples of benevolent sexism. It's not part of our main idea. What is our main idea? It's a term describing a chivalrous attitude that appears favorable towards women, but actually reinforces traditional gender roles and perpetuates gender stereotypes. That's the idea. Let's look at the options. Chivalrous attitude, an example of benevolent sexism, succeeds in reinforcing gender stereotypes. True. Okay, option is true, but it's not the summary. And I want you guys to be good enough readers to be able to spot these things in first glance. Okay, how do you know this is the wrong option? Look at the double comma pair here, isn't it? So technically this is inside the brackets. What is the sentence? Chivalrous attitude succeeds in reinforcing gender stereotypes. But the idea is not about chivalrous attitude. Okay, benevolent sexism is a type of chivalrous, see, it's a term describing a chivalrous attitude that appears favorable. Okay, a term that describes chivalrous attitude that appears favorable towards women but actually reinforces traditional gender roles, which means only that which appears favorable towards women and reinforces traditional gender roles, that chivalrous attitude is a problem, not all chivalrous attitude. And that you understand that from the word that itself. Okay, it's called a restrictive clause, anything that starts with that, because for example, kings that respect their rivals win more battles, let's say. Okay, so what does it mean? There are a lot of kings. Of them, there are some who respect their rivals. Okay, so whenever you put that, you're putting a condition on the right side. But if I say countries which guard their borders, okay, if I use something like this, all countries guard the borders, that's the meaning will come. That's the difference between that and which does not put a condition that reduces the set on the left side. Okay, which simply gives extra information. That, on the other hand, restricts the meaning on the left side with a condition on the right side. So chivalrous attitude that appears favorable, we have a problem with that. What does this option do? All chivalrous attitude, comma, and exam. So all chivalrous attitude becomes a problem. Okay, which we can't say is true. Secondly, the idea of the paragraph is about benevolent sexism. Okay, it's not about chivalrous attitude. So even if the part that all chivalrous attitude is wrong or right, even if you did not catch that nuance, you have to remember that we're talking about benevolent sexism. This should be the focus, right? Anyway, so option A is wrong. Compliments that imply fragility of women perpetuate benevolent sexism. True. But is it the summary? Obviously not, because the paragraph is not just about compliments. In fact, compliments is just an example of benevolent sexism, isn't it? Benevolent sexism is a concept that calls out chivalrous attitude born out of gender stereotypes. Correct, isn't it? What's the meaning of call out? Pointing out somebody's mistake is calling out. Pointing out something that's not correct, not apt, is calling out. So benevolent sexism calls out chivalrous attitude born out of gender stereotypes. Okay, gender stereotypes are the ones that lead to such chivalrous attitude. Okay, benevolent sexism, often disguised under a positive garb, is laden with negative stereotypes about women. Now you have to ask two questions here. Can I equate presumptions as negative stereotypes? Can I do that? Is question number one. Okay, you can pause it, think about it, and answer this question in your head if you want to. Can I equate presumptions with negative stereotypes? Negative stereotypes are being discussed in the paragraph. Presumptions are generally negative. That's what the author means. In terms of essence, this is not a problem. It's not exactly the same as presumptions. I want you to appreciate that. But in the case of an essence question here, I can replace the word presumptions with negative stereotypes. That's not a problem. But what is the problem? Benevolent sexism, often disguised under a positive garb, is laden with negative stereotypes about women. Benevolent sexism is not disguised under a positive garb. Benevolent sexism is the name given, or is the concept name given to chivalrous attitude disguised under a positive garb. So benevolent sexism includes a disguise as well. So it's not like benevolent sexism is hidden in a positive garb. You understand that? Because benevolent sexism is negative. So nobody is looking at benevolent sexism and saying, hey, this is positive. Right. So this is miscommunication. Okay. Distortion of information. This is pure grammar, you know, if you look at it, because there are 2 commas, tells you that this is giving you the definition. It's telling you about benevolent sexism. It's just taking the paragraph, distorting the idea a little bit by putting the wrong modifier. Okay, so good readers need to, now imagine, these are things you need to be able to spot even in reading comprehension passages. Otherwise you understand the passage wrong if you don't catch all these things. Okay, anyways, so the answer to this question will be option C. Let's look at the next question. Leaders should be mindful that the expression of diverse perspectives in teams needs to be managed. Okay, if you notice, needs is here because it's not perspectives, it's expression. Expression is singular, therefore there is an S here. Okay, subject verb agreement. Cognitive diversity is essential for generating novel meaning new here, innovative solutions to complex problems, especially during the planning and ideation phases of a project. However, if there is a contrast marker, there's always a switch in tone. So you're getting a contrast idea here. This is our main idea. They have to be mindful that the expression of diverse perspectives is important. It needs to be managed. It's essential. However, the expression of diverse perspectives can quickly become a liability negative when the team needs to focus on execution and meet looming deadlines. So you have a main idea, you have a contrast idea. They have to manage these 2 things. It is during these times that team members have to unify around a common interpretation of the problem and come to agreement about what needs to get done to solve it. If you notice, this is just elaboration sentence of the previous sentence. So there's nothing new here. If I understood the previous sentence, I can pretty much forget about this sentence as far as my summary is concerned. Okay. Leaders must be adept at switching back and forth. Again, this is continuation of the idea. It's your summary. Learning when and how to promote the expression of divergent opinions and meanings, and when to create a context for convergence. Technically, if I gave this line as it is in one of the options, that would have been the best possible answer. The author himself or herself, whoever it is, has given you the summary. Okay, this is just basically telling you that the leaders must be adept at switching back and forth. When to promote, okay, the expression of divergent opinions and meanings, and when to create a context for convergence. I also wanted to appreciate a very interesting thing here. Okay, they should be switching back and forth, learning when and how to promote the expression, but the opposite is not, discourage the expression. The opposite is when to create a context for convergence. So when to promote this and when to discourage this is not the idea. When to promote this and when to go for this being unifying people under common cause so that they can cater to the deadline better. Okay, let's look at the options. Leaders should be aware of the pros and cons of encouraging diverse perspectives and should do so on a contextual basis. Encouraging diverse perspectives should be done on a contextual basis is actually correct, not a problem here. But pros and cons of encouraging diverse perspectives, not correct. Okay, so there are no pros and cons. Encouraging diverse perspectives is always good. That was not the problem. It can become a liability when there is a looming deadline. It cannot be called a con of the expression of diverse perspectives. Okay, so again, if you notice the wording, leaders should be aware of the pros and cons of encouraging diverse perspectives. Encouraging diverse perspectives is different from expression of diverse perspectives. Okay, encouraging diverse perspectives is you telling people, okay, this is also correct, this is also correct. Encouraging the expression of diverse perspectives, meaning I'm asking people to articulate, to speak out. Okay, small differences there, but anyway, we're not eliminating on the basis of that. I wanted to just observe the differences. But the main part is leaders should be aware of the pros and cons of encouraging diverse perspectives. We have an issue with the word cons. Is that enough to eliminate the option? Not yet, because in summary, generally those small jumps are made. Okay, especially if you look at CAT questions. The second part is important, right? Should do so on contextual basis. Where is this part? Okay, when to create a context for convergence, this idea is not there, isn't it? This part, okay. When the team needs to focus on execution, meet looming deadlines, this part's missing from A. So we'll keep A aside. We can't eliminate A, but it's not okay. We're not happy with it, right? Let's keep it aside. Divergent opinions cannot be promoted. Okay, have to be a little mindful of this. Perspectives versus opinions. Divergent opinions not the same as diverse perspectives. Number one, okay, divergent opinions is we disagree, but we'll just it's not accurate. Okay, so that's one strike, but we'll go through it completely and see if it's fulfilling the purpose, the rest of the purpose at least. Divergent opinions cannot be promoted with looming deadlines, where a quick resolution and a context for convergence is the need of the hour. We can straight away strike it out, because it's only talking about deadline. It's not talking about the first part here, isn't it? How cognitive diversity is essential for generating novel innovative solutions. This part's missing, right? The main idea is missing. Only the contrast idea is there. Plus this part is not accurate. Divergent opinions is different from diverse perspectives. Now you may ask, how is it different? Negativity, the tone. Divergent opinion means I disagree with you. Diverse perspectives means I disagree with you, but the disagreement is not the focus. I'm just looking at, oh, I have a different opinion. Okay, so how you express certain things. So subject wise, we're still trying to say the same thing. Divergent opinion versus diverse perspective. Therein you see how the words you use and the way you understand things when RC passage change, and then it's very small difference, narrow difference between the right answer and the wrong answer. I also want you to appreciate that as you grow up, as you grow older, as you become better managers, or even progress in the competitive exams, you go to interviews, your wording matters. How do people judge your essays, for example, right? How do people judge you when you're in a group discussion? How do people judge you when you're answering questions? These are the kind of this is the kind of vocabulary that vocabulary examples. So the words you pick, okay, are you picking negative toned words or positive toned words? Matter. Okay, at some other later point we'll discuss a little bit of that about essays, and how the choice of words talks a lot about the kind of person you are, the kind of words you use to express certain things. So this is a very good example of the divergent opinions, negative toned, diverse perspectives, positive tone. Meaning is still the same, but nothing in English is, that's why I'm not a big fan of using the word synonyms generally. Okay, so every word has its own flavor, as I keep reminding. Anyway, good leaders know when diverse perspectives can generate new ideas and when they can impede execution. We have a problem here this time, because the paragraph did not say good leaders and bad leaders. What did the paragraph say? The paragraph just said leaders. Paragraph just said leaders. They should do, leaders should be mindful, which means the paragraph saying all leaders are general, have some responsibility. So we don't have good leaders and bad leaders. So the word good, your radar should stand up and say, hey, I don't like this. But more importantly, good leaders know when diverse perspectives can generate new ideas and when they can impede execution. They should know when diverse perspectives can impede execution. The answer was given, right? Looming deadline. So their diverse perspective is not impeding execution per se. You can't stop the idea there. Leaders know when they should not encourage diverse perspectives. Not that diverse perspectives are impeding execution. Okay, you can compare it with here. Become a liability when the team needs to focus on execution, meet looming deadlines. This becomes a liability. It's not that this is the one impeding it. It becomes a burden, extra burden to carry. So you can eliminate this option. D, while promoting articulation of diverse perspectives for better ideation. Okay, part one, while promoting articulation. See, while again is a beautiful conjunction, subordinate conjunction. There are always two ideas when there is while, and they are generally contrast ideas. So the contrast of however here is directly matching with the while here. That itself should give you a big clue, right? While is like, okay, a little like although. While promoting articulation of diverse perspectives for better ideation, so that both ideas there, sub-idea is there. Sub-idea is that diverse perspectives give us a better ideation. Leaders should switch to a decisive way, better execution, decisive way of solving a problem whenever needed being the looming deadline. The word decisive covers the deadline aspect of it. Okay, so the answer to this particular question would be option D. I hope you benefited from this video. If you did, please share, subscribe, smash the bell. Until next time, peace out.